And we're back. It's me, David, One Up Gaming, with the One Up Gaming podcast, I guess I'll say. Episode 356. And yeah, we'll just go straight into this week's news, because we've got quite a lot to go through. So first of all, David Cornswet. I've never heard of him. He had pie in the sky ambition to play Superman, and he compared himself to Henry Cavill. So he's going to star in the new Superman Legacy movie. He wants to play a more optimistic Superman. So in 2019, he did an interview with Entertainment Weekly saying that he always wanted to play Superman, and he would do things differently than Henry Cavill. I would love to see somebody do an upbeat throwback. He said, I love the Henry Cavill dark and gritty take, but I would love to see the next one to be very bright and optimistic. He was officially cast as Superman alongside Rachel Rosenthal as Lois Lane. I don't know who she is either. The pair had been contenders for the roles for some time and surfaced as firm favourites during recent screen tests. However, since casting Superman, fans have begun pointing out actually looks a lot like Cavill. It says that those comparisons have been mentioned for some time. It came to my attention before the internet got hold of me. He said back in 2019. So basically, he wanted to play Superman. Don't know who he is though. Don't know what has he been in. He hasn't really said what he's. Anyway, we don't know. Do you guys know? Do you care? Do you care who this guy is? But well, I don't know. I guess we'll just sort of see what happens, won't we? We'll see. Yeah. Do you guys looking forward to the new sort of stuff? Has anyone seen The Flash yet? I haven't. I'm just about to. I think I might watch it today, maybe when I'm doing some work. But we'll see what we will see. So next bit of news. Microsoft CEO basically said, if it was up to me, I'd get rid of exclusives. Satya Nadella has no love for the battle of exclusive in video game industry. Exclusivity has been the biggest topic of debate during the Xbox FTC hearing, but if it were up to Microsoft's CEO, the video game industry would move away from exclusives altogether. He wants to get rid of console exclusives, but Microsoft has to fall in line with the market leaders to stay competitive. If it were up to me, I would love to get rid of the entire sort of exclusive on consoles, but that's not up to me to define. Especially as a low share player in the console market, that the dominant player that has defined market competition using exclusives, and that's what the world we live in. I was pointed out his general philosophy is to put software on more platforms, not fewer. That's the Microsoft I grew up in. I believe in that. So, what do you guys think? Do you think that they really just I don't know. I think they're just pushing anything that they can to try and get this deal over the line. I think they're kind of panicking a little bit because I think they didn't expect this kind of backlash, which I agree. I don't think there's any problems in all of this sort of stuff. But anyway, we'll move on to the next bit of news, and that is Sony accidentally reveals that Call of Duty is worth $800 million to PlayStation alone. An internal document from Sony revealed a ton of highly confidential information about its PlayStation brand. More specifically, we learned a lot about the Call of Duty revenues for the PlayStation platform alone. The document, which was submitted as evidence for the ongoing trial between the Federal Trade Commission and Microsoft, focuses on a letter sent by Sony boss Jim Ryan. In the letter, which was poorly redacted, it mentions how much Call of Duty was worth to PlayStation alone. Specifically, the widely popular first-person shooter franchise directly generated over $800 million in the United States alone in 2021. It's no surprise how popular Call of Duty is, as the most recent installment of the franchise, Modern Warfare 2, became the fastest Call of Duty game to cross the $1 billion sold mark. But that's the only thing. That's not the only thing. But that's the only thing that the document revealed. We also learned. They should say, but that's not the only thing. Anyway, we learned how much 2 PlayStation first-party titles cost. Specifically, the document revealed. I like the word specifically. Revealed that Horizon Forbidden West cost $212 million to make, and The Last of Us Part 2 had a budget of $220 million. More interestingly, according to Ryan, internal surveys at Sony Interactive Entertainment claimed that almost half of US-based PS5 owners also own a Nintendo Switch, while less than 20% of PS5 owners in the same country also own an Xbox Series X or Series S console. And as The Verge pointed out, apparently 1 million PlayStation players played nothing but Call of Duty games. Bloody hell. The document itself was submitted as evidence for the evidentiary hearing currently going on between the... Yeah, it's more stuff that I don't have a clue about. It's quite funny. Right, let's have a look at the next bit of news. I think it's funny when they're all going tit for tat. I mean, I honestly think if, say Xbox games, they should be exclusively on Xbox. Sony's games should be exclusive on Sony. But, as an example, Final Fantasy 16, it's only on PlayStation 5 because Sony threw a lot of money at Square Enix to keep it on the PlayStation 5 only. And I think that's where exclusives shouldn't be exclusive, because it's like, you're only doing that because you're throwing your money around to try and get your name. Oh, look, we got this, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I don't know. Next bit of news. Final Fantasy 16 sold 3 million copies during its launch week. Square Enix said the milestone included both physical and digital sales on PlayStation 5. Physical sales on the game in the UK were reported 74% lower than those of its predecessor, Final Fantasy 15, but still Final Fantasy 16 was the top seller overall during its launch week. The solid sales numbers should be considered with the caveat Final Fantasy 16 is only available on PlayStation 5. Final Fantasy 7 Remake shifted 3.5 million copies in 3 days when it launched as a PlayStation 4 exclusive in April 2020, but that was to a much larger install base of consoles than PS5 currently enjoys. Final Fantasy 15 sold 5 million units in its first day, bloody hell. But that game launched on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in November 2016. Final Fantasy 15 remains the fastest selling game in the history of the series. It's likely that Square Enix is working on a PC version of Final Fantasy 16, but producer Naoki Yoshida said it wouldn't be released anytime soon. Featuring fast... Oh, it's just the IGN's review of it, we don't care. Have you guys got Final Fantasy 16? It's something that it just doesn't appeal to me. I've never liked the Final Fantasy games that much. I think, again, because of the long hours that I do, I just don't get time to sit and play stuff like that. So I just kind of get dropped into arcadey, fast-paced action games, and I love them. So we'll go into the next bit of news, and that is DayZ 2, apparently in development. So Bohemia Interactive is currently working on a sequel to DayZ, according to new court documents. And an internal Xbox document submitted as evidence as part of that hearing between the Federal Trade Commission and Microsoft. Acquisition strategy as of May 2021. On the slide focused on Bohemia Interactive, the document's additional notes reveal the company is working on DayZ 2. The document also revealed developers working on Armour Reforger and Armour 4, but those games have already been confirmed to be in development, while DayZ 2 has not. While we are expanding our focus regarding the possibilities of DayZ brand, of the DayZ game, brand and team itself, we cannot offer too many details at the moment. There are numerous projects the devs are currently working on exploring, but nothing until we can officially announce them. So, do you guys like Armour? Do you guys like DayZ? I have not played them, so I don't know. A little bit of light news, I'll say, because I think it's one of these bits of news that no one really cares about, and I mean that it's, I don't know, it's the world we live in now. It's the world we are living in now. So, FIFA Women's World Cup 2023 comes to FIFA 23. So it looks as though the FIFA Women's World Cup update has finally arrived in FIFA 23, alongside the Lead Your Country mode that lets players fill the shoes of any star player from the 32 international teams. Those looking to truly revel in the glory themselves can also create a custom character and essentially star as themselves in the journey to become the world champion. The classic kickoff and tournament modes will be available too, with local co-op and competitive multiplayer games in both. So, yeah, it's just FIFA 23, but they've added like the Women's World Cup to the actual game as a free download, which is pretty cool. But again, it's just, meh, do people really care? I don't know. We'll see. We will see. So, moving on to the next bit of news, and that is, there is fresh Red Dead Redemption rating sparks a remaster rumour. So, a rating has appeared in South Korea, and it sparked more rumours about the remaster and remake. South Korea's Game Rating Administration Committee could be at the centre of another leak after listing something simply Red Dead Redemption earlier in June. The listing is completely separate from the original 2010 Red Dead Redemption, as rating for this can still be seen on the website, as well as Red Dead Redemption 2, which is also listed as its own. Nothing else is given away in the listing except that this version of Red Dead has also been rated 18. Yeah, but I guess that's the world we're living in. Everyone needs to be rated before it gets officially out. So, yeah. Do you guys think this will come? Because isn't this one still not on PC? So I think it will come, because I think they'll want more players on the PC and stuff. And it'll tide people over until Grand Theft Auto 6. And it'll just give them a little bit more money in their pockets for nothing. Hitting wrong buttons on my tablet. So we'll go to the next bit of news. PlayStation boss Jim Ryan admits Starfield Xbox exclusivity is not anti-competitive. During the ongoing trial between Microsoft and the Federal Trade Commission, the head of PlayStation took to the stand. During his testimony, he was asked if anything was wrong with Arkane Studios' Redfall and Bethesda Game Studios' Starfield being console exclusive to Xbox. He said, "I don't like it, but I have fundamentally no quarrel with it." Ryan replied, when asked how he felt about Starfield skipping PlayStation 5 being exclusive to, "I don't like it, but I don't view it as anti-competitive." Console exclusivity, particularly in relation to the Call of Duty, is at the heart of the FTC's case against Microsoft's proposed $69 billion buyout of Activision Blizzard. It has pointed to Bethesda's upcoming space role-playing game Starfield, which is not coming out on PlayStation, as an example of PlayStation and Microsoft's behaviour after it bought the parent company ZeniMax Media. For its part, Microsoft has committed to keeping Call of Duty multi-platform for at least a decade if it buys Activision Blizzard. Ryan has expressed concern about the fate of Call of Duty should Microsoft obtain control of the franchise. Ryan's comments come on day 3 of the trial. Within the last few days, a slew of new information has come out. These include Microsoft seriously considering acquiring studios. So we'll go more into that in a little bit. So I won't read that on there. So, what he was talking about there, I think it is true. He's got no quarrel with it because he can't quarrel with the exclusivity, because then he'd be a hypocrite, because then he's got the PlayStation games are exclusive and not coming out on Xbox. So I think it's just, he has to be like careful what he says, because he don't want to sound like he don't care. So going on with those bits of news, Xbox seriously considered acquiring Sega, Bungie, IO Interactive and others to fill its content gaps. So it basically said that it was gonna... An internal Xbox document submitted as evidence in the ongoing trial shows the company's acquisition strategy as of May 2021. The document begins by recommending multiple acquisitions to fill perceived content gaps in mobile development, as well as franchises with strong communities and deep engagement, and casual, social and gross generational franchises. The presentation suggests Xbox first compiled a list of 100 developers based on multiple criteria, then narrowed it down to 8 final candidates: Thunderful, Supergiant Games, Niantic, Playrix, I've never heard of them, Zynga, Bungie, IO Interactive, Scooplay, other developers of note that almost made the list include Behaviour Interactive, Housemarque, Remedy Entertainment, Larian Studios, Rebellion Developments, and Paradox Interactive. But it looks like Xbox got especially close to one developer in particular, Sega. According to an email similarly entered into evidence, Xbox head Phil Spencer specifically, they always say specifically, went to Microsoft CFO Amy Hood and CEO Satya Nadella to request approval to approach Sega and acquire its gaming studios, notably not including the rest of its business units. We believe that Sega has built a well-balanced portfolio of games across segments with global geographic appeal and will help us accelerate Xbox Game Pass both on and off console. Microsoft GM David Hampton simply replied, "Game on" to this email. The email is dated November 2020, so it's unclear why, when, or even if Spencer's plan to pick up Sega fell through. We can glean from the profile Xbox compiled on the studio that it saw investment in the company from Nexon as a complicating element in the process, as well as complications from Sega's other business verticals. However, its PC-centric content, Total War and Football Manager, as well as Relic Entertainment, Yakuza, Endless Dungeon, and of course Sonic were major draws. The presentation includes a full breakdown of 17 companies and possibly an 18th entirely redacted one that Xbox was seriously considering, including discussions on their upcoming games, involved risks and other facts. Some interesting tidbits from this section include mention of Bungie's mysterious Matter IP and seeming confirmation of IO's new fantasy shooter is in fact the rumoured Project Dragon in the works for Xbox and PC. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I love all this sort of stuff like that. We'll go to the next bit of news. Well, I'm clicking around, I'm sorry for all the pauses, but there is a lot to get through today. But yeah, so we'll go to the next bit of news. Microsoft said that it would have kept Sega games multi-platform after proposed buyout. As part of the strategy revealed, blah 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 blah. The document reviewed by IGN reveals Microsoft's plan for Sega to report into Xbox Game Studio boss Matt Booty with the following operation principles. We will continue to develop and sell all acquired games and franchises on all relevant platforms: Android, iOS, PlayStation, Steam, Switch, Windows, Xbox, etc. We will bring previously exclusive to PlayStation and Nintendo titles to Xbox and launch future titles on Xbox in addition to other relevant platforms as rights permit. We will launch all acquired games and franchises with subscription exclusively into Xbox Game Pass on console, PC and cloud. Future releases will ship into Xbox Game Pass on day-and-date basis. The important point here is that Microsoft, in November 2020, when this strategy was outlined, did not plan to make Sega games such as Sonic Xbox exclusive. Rather, it planned to continue to make Sega games multi-platform and bring exclusives to Xbox. One of the key questions the FTC has put to Microsoft as part of its bid to block Activision Blizzard is whether it would make Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox. It has pointed to Bethesda's upcoming space role-playing game Starfield, which is not coming out on PlayStation, as an example of Microsoft's behaviour after it bought parent company ZeniMax. So there's all that stuff there. All the goodness. All the good juicy goodness. So we'll click on the next bit. So I think we're up to like number 10. bit of news? I don't know. I can't kind of lose track where I am. So we'll go with the next bit of news, and that is, if I can press buttons, because I'm so stupid, it's hard to press. Hitman developers' upcoming fantasy RPG may be Xbox exclusive. So basically, this is the Project Dragon, an RPG shooter for PC, Series X and S. So it could be that. So IO Interactive, fantasy RPG are announced early this year, blah 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 blah. Yeah, that'll do for a couple of seconds. We don't care about that one, do we? Right. So the next bit of news that we have is, I'm going to play the trailer now. So it's the Five Nights at Freddy's trailer. So Five Nights at Freddy's movie trailer brings the horror video games to life. A full-length trailer for Blumhouse's Five Nights at Freddy's movie is here, and you'll be lucky to survive 5 seconds of the blood-chilling game adaptation when it hits theatres on October 27th. Universal has officially turned the lights on the magical place that is Freddy's Fazbear's Pizza, but unfortunately for Josh Hutchinson, there's a pack of murderous mechanical mascots lurking in the shadows of the restaurant waiting to turn his night shift into a hellish nightmare. The trailer offers the best look yet of the creepy characters of Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy and Mr. Cupcake, with Jim Henson's Creature Shop bringing the band of beloved yet blood-curdling animatronic horrors to the big screen just in time for Halloween. The first game in the popular Five Nights at Freddy's franchise was released in 2014 and followed a night security guard who takes a job at Freddy's Fazbear's Pizza, only to learn that the animatronic animals become hostile at night, just like we see in the latest trailer. Yeah. What do you guys think? From what I saw of this trailer, it reminded me very much of that Nicolas Cage movie where he goes in and he's like punching the androidy things. It's quite funny. That was a year ago, 2 years ago, I can't remember now.
Technically they're animatronics.
And I will just say that we've got another trailer, so we'll start playing. This isn't a trailer, this is just a game, not even a gameplay, just like an animated thing for a gameplay, an update. But the Among Us. So we have Among Us, the animated series is in the works from Infinity Train creator and Titmouse. Is it Titmouse? I don't know. 3 years after it exploded into a pandemic-era sensation, and Among Us animated series in development at CBS Studios. A new series will be based on the premise of the game, with a murderous imposter sabotaging the ship, backstabbing crew members and generally sowing chaos. Who will be the imposter? Maybe we'll find out in the season finale. Among Us developer Inner Sloth is involved with the project. It is being led by Owen Dennis, who worked on Regular Show as a writer and storyboard artist before creating Infinity Train, a Cartoon Network series about an endless train filled with impossible worlds. Titmouse, the studio behind Big Mouth and Star Trek Lower Decks. That's quite cool. I love Star Trek Lower Decks. It's handling the animation. Yeah, so we'll end that bit of thing there because there wasn't that much news. And the last bit of news I've got this week is, I had to put this on because I love Futurama. Futurama Revival gets a fun new trailer. So it's about time. No, really, it seems like the series is about time, essentially undoing the previous finale with some timey-wimey shenanigans. The new trailer reveals the intrepid crew of the Planet Express ship survived a mass disruption of the flow of time. It's a good thing too, as the new season looks as though it's back on form. Fry, Leela Bender and the gang return with their original voice actors and a bundle of classic Futurama jokes, including Zach Brannigan's take on manscaping, poor Kif. However, some of the jokes feel a little dated. The new season takes a swipe at COVID, crypto and creepy AI voice assistants, and it all feels a bit 2021, retro-futuristic perhaps. Thankfully, the best bits are classic Futurama Bender disintegrating someone immediately after the end of a battle and then declaring, okay, I'm done. It's slapstick japes and over-the-top comedy that makes Futurama so great, and this new trailer has them both by the bucket load. So, it's coming out on Hulu. I don't think that's available in the UK. But it's available on I think it's a Disney Plus. It's coming out as well. So, we will get to see that. So, that is the news. So, we'll be back in a couple of seconds with this week's Top 40.